here on the boulevard. Something like the Oppenheimer credit roll comes to mind in terms of the quantity of people involved. But we really couldn't do it without the contributions of the following people. Our Director of Ops, Frank Ledesma. And leaders such as Team Mara Hoffman, Suzanne Lassie, Kristen Braverman, and Winnie Lee. Thank you.
Move on over here.
Picture and sound is the key element to the success of this festival, and I would like to recognize the technical direction by the team that's been with us since day one: Boston Light and Sound, Chapin Cutler, Sean McKinnon, Diana Caldwell, and Christopher Reyna. With the agency CPC that also has been with us since the beginning, and they are led by the incomparable Britta Curris and Nick Lamoureux. They are responsible for so much of what you see across the footprint of the festival and everything under the roof of the Roosevelt, Club TCM, our incredible poolside screenings, the list goes on. I would like to thank our security team led by Domingo Ramos. Our Assistant Festival Manager, Jeanette Gregory. Our Box Office Wizard, Marquetta Benson. Our Creative Director, Katie Daniels, also someone who's worked on this event for 15 years. Our legal team, John Renaud and Kristen Hassel. And finally, I'd like to take a moment to recognize two people without whom this festival would not exist. That would be our Managing Director, Lindsay Griffin, and our Festival Director, Mark Wins. I am so grateful to work with them, and we are all grateful to be a part of this remarkable team. Thank you so much, and now it's my pleasure to introduce your host for the evening, Ben Mankiewicz. Thank
you. Good evening, and thank you, Genevieve. Wow, thank you all for 4 incredible days at the 2024 TCM Classic Film Festival. I hope that it has brought you as much joy as it has brought us. Obviously, I'm kidding. It's been a grind. I mean, just for me personally, I had to spend time with not merely Jodie Foster, but Diane Lane. Last night, I had to give an award to Janine Basinger and talk to Alexander Payne and Dana Delaney about Janine. I get it. She's brilliant. Whatever. But wait, I gotta be honest, it gets worse. Jeff Daniels was here, and he told me how much Al Pacino inspired him, like I care. Then Billy D. Williams prattled on about Errol Flynn and Edward G. Robinson and James Cagney. Lois Burwell told these stories about Daniel Day-Lewis, and I was like, Lois, he's retired, no one cares. I did a live podcast with Mario Cantone. Podcast. Who even knows what a podcast is? Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot one thing. Before I talked to Jodie Foster, she took off her shoes in front of everybody. This is so gross. And I felt like this was like her comeuppance. This is pretty funny. She stepped in cement. It was hilarious. Jamie Lee Curtis came because she's friends with Jodie, and she saw the cement and she didn't say anything. What kind of friend is that? Tim Robbins was here. All he did was brag about like breaking out of prison. And Morgan Freeman was there. He didn't even seem to care. Like Morgan Freeman, like America's conscience. Whatever. Worst of all, though, while all this was going on in the theaters, Thousands of movie lovers were walking around the neighborhood like they never had so much fun in their whole lives, going to movie after movie, laughing and talking to each other and promising to come back next year. I mean, who are these people? And what's my reward for all this punishment? Now I have to talk to Mel Brooks. About Spaceballs. Who even knows what those are? All right, enough. How lucky are all of us?
Yeah.
I cannot begin to tell you what all of you mean to us at TCM. What your support means, what this unbridled enthusiasm means. We love putting this festival on, not because of the personalities we bring in, but because of you. That's not corny, that's the truth. We created this festival for TCM's most passionate fans, and for 15 straight years, you have justified our purpose. Before we enjoy tonight's screening of Spaceballs, it's just one word. I'd like to acknowledge the people who have made this year's festival possible. More than 400 people worked to make this happen. 400 people. And I will now read all of their names alphabetically. Adam Abrams. Agatha Abrams. All right, I will begin with the one we just heard. Genevieve McGillicuddy, the festival's founder.
Yeah.
And even though she already thanked him, we can applaud again for the festival's director, Mark Wins, and Lindsay Griffin, the festival's manager, director. The TCM programming team, by now you know them well. Charlie Cavish, Stephanie James, and Scott McGee.
Yeah.
And thank you to our dedicated and very sleep-deprived talent team, Missy Burns-Halprin, Susan Bisak, Dory Stegman, Brandy Austin,
Yeah, Brandy!
and Nicole Hill, who all work around the clock to bring in the many talented actors, directors, artists, film experts appearing at the festival. And finally, to Uma Thurman, Harvey Keitel, and John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson for making opening night here so memorable. They are back with us again tonight. They're not here. I speak for all of us when I say I hope to see you again next year at the 2025 TCM Classic Film Festival. Which, of course, even though this is our 15th festival, that will be our 15th anniversary festival, though it's our 16th festival. Sooner, though, you can see us, if you like, on the TCM Classic Cruise this October. And now it is time for tonight's movie, Spaceballs, making his 7th appearance in 15 festivals, the writer and director of the film, my friend, ladies and gentlemen, Mel Brooks. It's on.
Anyway, I like TCM. They're important. nurture films. They take care of movies that would just fly away in the wind if TCM didn't grab them, salute them, and point out how important they are to our souls, to our culture. And so I don't mind doing this. I don't even mind that they're not paying me. I don't do many freebies, I'll tell you.
Mel, thank you again for being here. 7 out of 15 festivals.
Yay!
Ben Mankiewicz from the illustrious Mankiewiczes. Joe Cleopatra. Cleopatra gave us Century City. They had to sell the back lot. Thank God for Cleopatra. We got Century City.
It's a great mall in Century City. It's a high-quality mall. You have my family to thank. So, back before Spaceballs, 13 years before Spaceballs, when you made Blazing Saddles.
Yeah!
I gotta tell you, we showed Blazing Saddles, and the executives, the hierarchy of Warner Brothers came, and the head of Warner Brothers, who shall be nameless, Ted Ashley. Anyway, he grabbed me by the collar, threw me in the manager's office. He said, "Take some notes." And he gave me notes. You can't hit an old lady, okay? You can't punch a horse no matter what you okay. You can't say the N-word, oh. I gotta relate that to one of our writers, you know, and he wouldn't like that. Anyway, he gave me so many notes, so many cuts, that if I listened to him studiously, took every single cut and made the cuts, I would have had a 10-minute movie. But anyway, as soon as it was released, the first or second week, I don't know, third or fourth week, it began making so much money that he took credit for it. He took credit for the movie, never made another cut.
When you made
Questionable taste, he really is good. Questionable taste is good.
When you made it, did you have any clue that you were beginning this new genre, that you were going to be making these parodies, these spoofs?
I didn't, it was the first one, really. I mean, the producers was a real story.
Oh, yeah.
I worked for a guy who, he was a sweetheart of a guy. And he used to get old plays that he could get for nothing and put them on the road, and he'd send me on the road to open them, and he was an amazing guy, and it was a thrill. I was like Leo Bloom. I said, my God, Jesus, beautiful girls, and look, they're dressing over there, you know. It was so thrilling to be part of show business. The only thing that worked for me in show business, I knew I could get into show business. I knew it. Because nobody could make a cat sound like I could. If they needed a cat, they had to call me. Nobody. They would, you know, they get guys go, meow, 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 nothing. But they said, get Mel Brooks. Get him for the cat sound. And when I did the cat sound, I did, I know it could be somehow a small part of show business. And I also knew that nobody could do Hitler like me. So I used to do.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
Anyway. I I graduated from that stuff. And finally, when I worked in the mountains, I was a busboy, and I worked the sour cream station. It was a very big aluminum, gigantic bowl filled with sour cream. And I would get it. I'd make my way out to the dining room and put it down. And by the time I turned around, I said, Melvin, yes. They loved sour cream. And I was very lucky that somebody, I was an extra in the Dramatic Society, and somebody stepped in a gopher hole and turned their leg, and so they gave me his part that night on stage. Uncle Harry was the name of the play we were doing, an English play. So I'm a district attorney. First they said he's too young. He looks too young. So they made me up. They gave me lines. They put a towel in my. I said it's not Quasimodo. It's anyway, so I became a DA, and here's what happened. Oh, Jesus. This is true. This is terrible. I said, they gave me the part that goes, I said, there, Harry, relax. Have some water and tell me in your own words exactly what happened on the night of February the 16th. Okay. He knows the words. He knows the words. I don't care. Make him old. Make him get him. He knows the words. Okay. So they gave me the part. Uncle Harry. In comes Harry, who is the guy that's going to go to the chair or whatever. And I say, there, Harry. In your own words, tell me what happened. Exactly your own words on the night of February the 15th. And I hand him a glass of water. There's water on the outside of the water. The glass there's water in the glass, but there's a lot of water outside the glass. And then I clutched it because I was nervous. And the whole glass hit a silver salver on my desk and shattered. Quiet. The band was quiet. Everybody was quiet. It was just a, that's all you heard. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I walked out to the footlights and I said, I'm 14. I never did this before. Anyway.
I'm just going over my notes here. Let's see, cat sounds, Hitler, sour cream, DA, water glass. We've covered it all. I couldn't figure out what you were looking for in your pocket, and then of course, it turns out it's Hitler's mustache.
I'm in trouble on stage.
So you didn't know you'd be making these parodies when you did Blazing Saddles. Now, I guess your fourth parody was High Anxiety, right? You did 4 in a row. Blazing Saddles, and Young Frankenstein, Side Movie, and then High Anxiety. And for High Anxiety, even though you didn't have to, right? You were like, you're spoofing Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, no, salute Alfred Hitchcock.
So you call it, you let him know.
I said, I'm making this salute to you in your movies. I didn't say parody. I said salute to you in your movies. He said, well, come by. So I went to Universal, went to his little bungalow there, and we talked, and he said, I've got a good idea for you for the movie. So I said, what is it, Mr. Hitchcock? He said, call me, you can call me Al or whatever. I said, yes, Mr. Hitchcock. I never called him anything but Mr. Hitchcock. So anyway, he said, here's the idea. A guy is running away he's being chased by a bunch of really mean, terrible people who are out to kill him. And he runs and he runs and he runs. And finally, he runs at the end of a pier. There's nowhere to go but water. But a ferry is out about 20 feet away from the end of the pier. And he runs with all his might, leaps in the air, lands safely on the deck of the ferry. Gets up, breathes a sigh of relief, and then looks and realizes the ferry is coming in. And that was Hitchcock. That was his idea. And, and I said, if I only had another $36,000, whatever, I would have made it. But he was a great guy, and he loved my movies. He was really a sweetheart. We went to dinner. He said, I want, butterfly shrimp. I remember butterfly. I said, butterfly and the shrimp. I wasn't sure what it was. And then he had I think it was asparagus. Yeah, butterfly shrimp, asparagus, soup, a thick steak, baked potato, filled with sour cream. And I had a grilled cheese sandwich. I figured he was paying. I didn't want to go over. So anyway, we finish, and he passes. He takes out a cigar case, takes out a cigar. He puts it back, closes it. And he says, George, I guess that was the head waiter. He said, George, I'm still a bit peckish. Would you do it again? And I said, is he crazy? Does he mean do it again? Am I going to see soup and right there, butterfly shrimp, there was the soup, there was the thing. But he didn't have 2 bowls of ice cream, which he had originally. But he ate it all, and then he took out the cigar. And I said to myself, he's made some of the greatest movies. He may be the greatest director that ever lived, but nobody could eat like that man. That was really amazing. He's an amazing guy.
So it was very kind of you, thoughtful of you to reach out to Hitchcock even though you had to. But before you made Spaceballs, which
He's waiting for it. Poor Ben. He's sitting here. He says, I wonder when this guy's going to finish one.
They don't care. Trust me. They don't care. You had to reach out because you're parodying Star Wars. And many of the characters are very similar.
Yeah.
So you knew that the George Lucas lawyers might even be able to stop this movie. You didn't want that. So
Lucas liked me. He liked my work. He liked my rough draft of the script. And in conferring with his lawyers, he called me and he said, Mel, the only thing you can't do the merchandising. You can't do the dolls. You can't do it. Okay. And to this day, I haven't. But in case there's another Spaceballs, who knows? I think that's an old contract, You might see somebody that looks like me or Rick Moranis.
Did you? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Did you love Star Wars?
I loved it. I loved the picture. I thought it was unusual. I thought it was incredibly, original, and it was a combination of all the things that I loved, like Ivanhoe when I was a kid, and Robin Hood. And it was kind of like a fairy tale, and yet with zaps, a lot of zaps. Instead of arrows, there was zap. Zap, a lot of that, But it was good. It was a good movie, and its heart was in the right place,
And you thought this was right for parody, and you didn't just, as people will see. How many people here have not seen Spaceballs? It's amazing how many people haven't seen it. By the way, I want to tell you that
you know what? I remember when I got a letter from a kid who was about 11, 12. And he said, I just saw Star Wars, Mr. Brooks. And it's not nearly as funny as your movie. Obviously, he hadn't seen Star Wars. He just saw Spaceballs.
Somewhere in this audience tonight, Mel, and I of course, I naturally didn't write their names down after I met the woman. There's a woman named, I think, Meryl, and her husband, who I think his name is Chip. But let's just assume that I'm correct. Meryl and Chip.
Meryl and Chip, yeah.
And 37 years ago, they went on their first date. And he took her to the movies. He took her to see a parody of Star Wars called Spaceballs. She thought, this is a strange first date, and it doesn't particularly impress me. And then Chip, if that's his name, started, as soon as the first joke comes up, laughing hysterically, doubling over in laughter, which alarmed Meryl initially. And then she thought, he is so into this, he is so committed to this, that she began to admire it. Like he is full, if he sees something that he loves, he fully loves it.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And they have been together 37 years and they're here tonight. We gotta go, but you also make fun, as people will see, of not just Star Wars. There's a wonderful salute to Alien in this. There's also a salute to, in many ways, the TV show Alice.
Oh, there is, you got it.
You became and are the definitive master of big screen parodies, but all of them, every single one of your parodies, comes from your complete, unabashed, unbridled love of movies.
I love movies. Let me tell you one thing that I did that escapes a lot of people, but if they notice it, they go nuts. Madeline Kahn, God bless her. She comes to visit me to tell me something. I'm Professor Thorndike, and her father is
Oh, this is in high anxiety. Yeah.
high anxiety, and she pulls up in a Seville Cadillac, but it's covered with what is it covered with? Yes.
What was that? What did they say?
Louis Vuitton!
Oh, Louis Vuitton.
It's covered in Louis Vuitton. The whole car. She gets out of the car, she's in a jumpsuit, complete Louis Vuitton. She has a bag, Louis Vuitton. Everything with Louis Vuitton. And and I never pointed to it, never mentioned it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's insane because of, her dedication to Louis Vuitton. It's amazing. I miss her a lot.
Well, I know from all the times that we've spent together how much the movies that we show on TCM, the movies that these people in this theater love, they formed your outlook on life. They framed your sense of right and wrong. I know how much you love these movies.
Yes.
And I just want to add how much I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. I love you, and I thank you for showing up here tonight.
I love you.